Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I'm your host, and today I have a special little bitty treat for you guys. We are taking it back. We're going way back, but then we're going a little bit forward, and then we're going back, but we're also like, was it ever really gone? Are we really bringing anything back, or are we just addressing, the situation at hand? And that would be Twilight. I'm not gonna, you already saw the thumbnail. You know what we're talking about. In honor of Netflix putting all of the Twilight movies on the US Netflix, I thought there was no better video idea than, just sitting, chatting, talking about Twilight. A little bit of information. We won't be going in depth into the actual Twilight movies. We can do that another time. We can do that in the comments. Today, I wanted something fun and lighthearted, so I decided to introduce you guys to my favorite Facebook group. It is called Twilight shitposting. When preparing for this video, I accidentally spent 2.5 hours just scrolling through. I've picked out the best of the best that have been posted in the last few weeks. And this is actually, the selection I have curated for you today is a pared down selection from my original selection, which was 25 posts that probably would have taken me 2 hours to get through, but I want to keep this short, sweet, punchy. I want to bring you the best of the best memes. Also, this is a Team Edward video. If you're Team Jacob, you can stay. I'm not gonna kick people out because they're Team Jacob. Just, it might make people feel a little uncomfortable, so keep it to yourself. And of course, in Twilight shitposting, they had the Chef's Kiss perfect meme to start out with. Okay, so the first real thing that I want to show you literally killed me, and now it's stuck in my head. It is this TikTok. Everybody always raves about the Twilight soundtrack. I didn't really watch the movies a lot. I was a reader and rereader of the books. As I've gotten older and I've gotten more involved in Twilight fan groups, there's a lot of focus on what the movie brings to the table, which don't get me wrong, I'm totally a fan of that. I'm just not as well versed in the movies. I'm more well versed in the book. I've been rewatching the movies now, but I have a confession for you guys. I haven't seen Breaking Dawn Part 1 or Part 2. I feel like I'm not a real fan. I've read the books and everything, and, I've read Midnight Sun. I'm very much into the books. I just have trouble watching movies, so, if I had to choose between rereading the book and watching the movie, I just read the book, because, it keeps me engaged for longer. It keeps me entertained for a longer time. I don't want to get kicked out. I'm going to watch Breaking Dawn Part 1 and Part 2, probably tonight or tomorrow. And I don't even know the last time I watched Eclipse. I'm so excited to, rewatch it. For reference, you guys deserve to know, my family's from Forks. My family still lives in Forks. We have been visiting Forks since I was, 3 years old. We go over there all the time. So this is really genuinely my stomping grounds. With that being said, when we would go over to Forks, after Twilight swept across the nation, everybody was showing up there, for some reason, my grandparents' house that was over there, they only had New Moon on DVD. Team Jacob much? And obviously, being a 12-year-old Team Edward gal, it was so disappointing to watch New Moon, which is the only movie that doesn't have Edward in it. So yeah, I've seen New Moon a bunch, and I've seen Twilight a bunch. Eclipse and Breaking Dawn Part 1 and Part 2. I wasn't allowed to read Breaking Dawn Part 1 and Part 2 because it dealt with you-know-what. We'll get to that later. Yeah, just a little backstory. With that backstory being out there, the poster said, "Could not believe I found this gem of a shadow box in Goodwill." This shadow box, this in and of itself, is something that I definitely would have owned. I feel like I would own it for the sake of owning it, and if I found this in a Goodwill now, I would buy it. I genuinely think that I would buy it. kind of out of irony, kind of to take it home and show my parents, because a little plot twist for you guys. Call me Bella or don't, but I live in Phoenix now. I know what you're thinking. Aren't people from Arizona supposed to be like tan? But I'm just not like other girls. I'm Irish. 10 out of 10. I would own that. If anything, I would only own it so that when I eventually end up living in the Pacific Northwest in a cabin tucked away in a dying town of Forks, I could show it to my kids and be like, this is what this town used to be. Plastic figurines and cheap t-shirts. That's what I'd say. That's what I will say. I just feel so called out by all of these. This is a tweet that was reposted into this group. My sister talks a lot of smack to me for someone who used to kiss her cardboard cutout of Edward Cullen every night in 2009. LMAO, I ain't forget. It's me, I'm sister. Oh, this is so funny, because I actually owned a cardboard cutout of Edward Cullen. My father bought that for me. They made the active decision to buy me a cardboard cutout of Edward Cullen. And it was the not the new moon, it was the eclipse Edward, because every character looks completely different in every single movie. I had eclipse Edward Cullen cut out, and he was taller than me. I don't think I ever kissed it though. I wouldn't put it past me, but for the sake of this going up on the internet, I'll say, yeah, I definitely probably didn't do that. Because that would be weird. I love a little drama. The Volturi look really good in this pic. Look at them. So cute. So put together. They really stepped up their game. But when you have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years to practice, you could probably get pretty good at makeup. I just love that their eyes also just look fucked. Spot the difference challenge. Impossible. I think that this spider is from something that my siblings used to watch, but I can't remember what it is. I know the spider, but I don't know what from. This next post is a TikTok that I actually deeply appreciate. I have seen Forks, like I said, if you didn't hear me the first time, I've been there a lot. I used to go with my family all the time. I'm actually going there this summer when I visit my family who's in Forks. Forks. My town, baby. Or my dad's town that he's passing down to me. It's kind of a dying town. You go, and when you drive up and down the streets, there's a lot of shops that have closed down. Basically the whole thing turned into a tourist town. And when the Twilight phase was over, a lot of people who had moved into Forks to capitalize on the success of Twilight just packed up and left. That was a huge spike in tourism and attraction and people showing up. And now there's just empty storefronts with old Twilight posters in them. It's really bizarre, especially having seen the rise and fall. And it's also bizarre that people are still visiting. There's still a pull to Forks for Twilight, but it's not nearly what it was. I think it actually is important to see and appreciate things while they're around, because I genuinely sometimes I wonder how long Forks is really gonna have two legs to stand on. I know that's it's literally one of my favorite places in the world, the Olympic Peninsula. I think there's always gonna be people who go out there, but the reality is that living out there is hard. You don't have all of the amenities that you get even in Port Angeles. I encourage you all to go. If you have the chance to go to Forks, do it. It's fun. If you want recommendations, you can shoot me a DM. I'll tell you where to go. However, this TikTok specifically talking about Renesmee. Sometimes I wonder, what could I bring back in time with me to the Salem witch trials that would convince them that I was a witch? Like, obviously the first answer is like, oh, a phone would probably, do it for them. Or just like being a woman in general, speaking your mind. Like, I wouldn't have to take shit with me. But other times, I want to get creative. That's a really overused plot point. What could spice it up a little bit? I would bring the Renesmee doll thing object. I would bring this with me. They would burn me in no time. Venom Baby slushy mix that nobody bothered to test for centuries. Bella Swan's incredibly fertile and breedable human womb. Boom. Truly though, there's so much oversight in this whole situation. Like, just because it's convenient doesn't mean that you should do it. And I think it's so dumb that Bella got pregnant the first time. I think that is kind of like a nod to Mormonism, this idea that like you have to have a baby right away. It's just so fascinating. It feels kind of like a cop-out in writing. I really feel like it would have been good enough to make the last battle, or the battle that never was, to make that about Bella somehow. Because like, I feel like we don't even get to see Edward and Bella as a couple, as a happy couple who gets to enjoy themselves for real. Especially not with her as a vampire, seeing as the baby's like there before she even becomes a vampire. It doesn't do it for me. Renesmee could have waited. She could have written the whole 4th book, let them be a happy just couple, hang out, and then written another 5th book where they have a baby. And then you could string along with Volturi more. Yeah, her getting pregnant after the first time. Like, why didn't they think to use a condom? Technically, that might also go back to like Mormonism. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I may be wrong. I think that they frown on contraceptives, including condoms. Like, they might have more of like a quiverful mindset. Like, oh, we take the babies that God gives us. This is the last one we're going to look at. It's one of my favorite things to think about. I love all of these memes, but especially this one. The image is tiny dominoes go up to large domino. I don't care if this is a fallacy. I understand that correlation does not equal causation. And frankly, I don't give a shit. This is one of my favorite things ever. Stephenie Meyer wakes up from a vivid dream on June 2nd, 2003. Somehow, in a few steps, more or less, Ellen ends her talk show after 19 years. OP Team Jacob Thought posts this and then reblogs a little while later to clarify some things. And now let's break down how these things are related. Stephenie Meyer wakes up from a vivid dream on June 2nd, 2003. Stephenie Meyer's dream inspires her to write Twilight. Twilight gets published in 2005, and the books and movies become a global phenomenon. E.L. James writes a BDSM Twilight fanfic titled Master of the Universe. Master of the Universe is later published as 50 Shades of Grey. The 50 Shades book series becomes wildly popular. 50 Shades of Grey gets adapted into a movie, 2015, in which Dakota Johnson is cast as protagonist Anastasia Steele in her breakthrough role. The 50 Shades movie series also becomes wildly popular, and Dakota Johnson's acting career takes off. Dakota goes on Ellen DeGeneres' talk show, where Ellen tries to play Dakota for a fool, and Dakota shuts that shit down.
It's good to see you. Happy belated birthday. When was your birthday?
It was October 4th.
October 4th. You turned 30.
I did.
And how was the party? I wasn't invited.
Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen. You were invited. Last time I was on the show, last year, you gave me a bunch of shit about not inviting you, but I didn't even know you wanted to be invited.
Well, who doesn't want to be invited to a party?
Well, I didn't even know you liked me.
Of course I like you. You knew I liked you.
People start noticing that Ellen has a tendency to make her celebrity guests feel very uncomfortable and is terrible to her employees. Ellen makes the decision to end her talk show after 19 years. if you need me, I'm going to finish up the Twilight saga. I'll be sitting on my couch for the next 7.5 hours. Again, thank you to Twilight shitposting on Facebook for the most glorious Twilight memes that I could possibly find. If you want to talk Twilight, go ahead and hop down in the comments. You can tell me your favorite scene. If you like this, please let me know, because I am thinking about doing like a Twilight TikTok roundup and just like looking at my favorite ones. So if that sounds interesting to you, also let me know in the comment. Go ahead and like and subscribe. We just hit our 200 subscriber goal for last month, so we are on the road to 1 million. You guys are helping me get there every single day. All right, see you next time. Bye.
Oh my child, I know you're hurt and you can't let go. It's not your fault and you don't deserve